The entry-level Triumph 2000, I happen to know that was listed at £1,775 in the UK.
Is that including number plates?
I think they'd probably throw in a set of plates. The cheapest Rover 2000, the single carb model, by comparison, that was £1,868. So basically, there was less than £100 in it, Rich.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, by the following year, 1973, the Rover 2000 was being replaced by the 2200 and the 2200 TC models, bringing another increase in power. I think in the case of the TC up to 115 brake horsepower.
Yeah, we shouldn't forget that the P6 was also developed into the P6B that I mentioned buying, which featured the ex-Buick, the 3.5-litre V8 engine that Rover, well, they'd acquired the rights to that from GM. That really was a beast of a car. Love that car.
Oh, it certainly was. I mean, V8 power in a relatively compact sporting saloon, it was just fantastic. I'd say it's probably the ultimate Q car of its time.
Yeah.
And it's a model I'm sure I think we'll be talking about in future shows, Rich, because I reckon that engine, it deserves its own feature. Let's face it, it's powered some of Britain's greatest classics, hasn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's a great idea. Love to talk about that. But with all this talk of the Rover, let's not forget that the Triumph 2000, that was also updated and improved during its lifetime. I'm not just talking about the Michelotti restyle of 69. That started it off, of course, with the 1998 six-cylinder engine. Don't know how many panels on that car, Paul, forgive me.
I'll look it up.
That had been fitted to that was in the last of the standard Vanguards.
It was, yeah.
Now, with a pair of Stromberg carburetors for an impressive 90 brake horsepower. Then the bigger capacity 2498cc, the 2.5 PI, that arrived in 68. Modified version of the outgoing TR5 sports car engine.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, that 2.5 litre engine, that was also available with carburetors in later years, of course, thanks to the launch of the 2500 TC and the subsequent S.
Oh, the S, yes, I've forgotten that.
That was a lovely flagship, wasn't it? Really, it was quite an extensive lineup that Triumph eventually had.
Oh, yeah. Both the Rover P6 and the Triumph 2000 and the 2500, well, they went on to enjoy long careers, of course, so popular. And it's interesting, I think, that not only were they launched at almost exactly the same time in 63, within a week of one another, as you told us.
Don't forget that.
Oh, I can't now. I've got this far without knowing it, but now I'm educated. But, of course, so they launched at the same time, and they both finally ceased production in 1977, by which time both Rover and Triumph had been, the pair of them, part of British Leyland set up for 8 years?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the very last Rover P6, that was built on March the 19th, 1977.
Paul, you are a very sad man for knowing that.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
You would. It wasn't meant as one.
I'm an eternal optimist. But, it was British Leyland's ownership of Rover and Triumph that's actually led to there being no direct replacement for those six-cylinder Triumphs. After all, there was little point in developing new ranges of Rovers and Triumphs if they were just going to compete against each other.
Well, yeah.
And so, of course, it was Rover that won the day with the SD1. The only Triumph saloon to stay in production beyond 77 was, if you remember, the much smaller Dolomite.
Oh, yeah, lovely little Dolomite.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting, though, that the Triumph engine did live on because we all remember the original Rover SD1 of 76 with the V8 power.
Oh, yes.
But then to get into the fleet market, the subsequent 2300, 2600 versions, they used an updated, modified version of the old Triumph Straight 6. But I bet you didn't even know that, did you, Paul?
Well, of course I did. Everyone knows that.
Oh, I should have guessed. One attempt. Anyway, I'll give up.
Nice try.
Anyway, these days, of course, both the Rover and the Triumph 2000s, as well as their bigger engine cousins, they make great classic buys. Although for me, it will always be Triumph that holds the greatest appeal.
I can understand that, Rich. But as a bit of a Rover fan myself, it's the P6 I'd go for each time. It was such a revolution for Rover in so many ways, and I think it's aged extremely well. Even these days, a well-sorted Rover 2000 or 2200, it's a real pleasure to drive. It's got great handling, really decent ride, and I reckon it's perfectly quick enough for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you, fair enough, but that leaves me with the Triumph
It
then,
does, yeah.
which is, well, it's a superior car in almost every way, and in Mark II form, it's better looking too.
Go on a minute, I don't remember us agreeing on that.
Well, we didn't, but you can't help being wrong, can you?
Classic Car Shootout is brought to you by David Manners Group, MX-5, Jaguar, Daimler, MG and Triumph parts specialists. For more details, visit davidmanners.co.uk.
Well, that's it for this week. We're back next week with more classic car news, more people and more chats.
Absolutely. And a look at some of our favourite TV cop cars of all time.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
Thanks to the Team Supreme, that's Tom, our producer, and Mr. T. And thanks to you for listening. If you like the podcast, please subscribe and rate us and follow us on Facebook at Classic Car Talk. And if you didn't like the show, then it's all Paul's fault.
No, it's Richard's fault.
So until next week, drive safe and see you around.
You've been listening to Classic Car Talk with Paul and Richard. Remember what they said about a dark night? That's when to put your headlights on.
Well, I talked to my mechanic.